Hi, welcome back to Growth Catalyst Hub and welcome back to the 30-day Turbocharge Your Career YouTube course. And today is day number 24 of the 30-day course. We are going to talk about how do you handle behavioral questions in that interview. Behavioral interviews start something like, tell me about a time when ... They ask you these questions so that what you did in the past can become a gauge for what you can and will do in the future. Tell me about a time when you handle this situation. Tell me about a time when you handle that situation. Tell me about a time where you were faced with this kind of a problem and how did you handle that? These kind of questions is what is called as a behavioral interview. Let's dive in and see how these interviews, how these questions are to be handled in any interview. Let's see. Understand and learn what we call as a STAR method. Situation, what was the task, what was the action you took, and what were the results. STAR. This is a good structure to use because it coherently talks about how you or anybody else for that matter handled a particular situation. It clearly tells the viewer or the interviewer what was the situation, what was the context, what was the biggest challenge that one faced, and what was the action the person by himself or through his team took, and therefore what were the results, hopefully positive results. I will add just one more thing. What were the learnings from this? Please add this also to the STAR method. It becomes complete so that this learning can be used in any future situation. This structure helps you to coherently talk about whatever behavioral questions might be thrown at you. For example, if somebody were to ask you, tell me about a time when you faced a very challenging project, then you can talk about the time, the context, what was happening. Second, what was a key challenge? It could be a deadline which was very, very close, which was about to be missed. It could be about the task that you, the action that you took in terms of mobilizing all the team members, talking to them, impressing upon them the key thing that needs to be done, impressing upon them the importance of this occasion, importance of this project, and getting them to work round the clock for those 2 days or 3 days and delivering the results which went positively for you on the client. To be that. So when you take this approach, apply this approach and walk the interviewer through what he did, it is very clear to the person as to the challenge and the actions and the results that came because of the action. The second thing that you need to be ready with is to identify typical common behavioral questions so that you can prepare for them. What are the typical questions? The typical questions are all about how did you handle a given situation. The situation could be about a deadline which was about to be missed, a project which was very challenging in terms of the scope of the project or the complexity of the project, about a co-worker who was proving to be very difficult to deal with. It could be about a situation that your boss gave you very strong, maybe negative feedback. How do you handle that? And it's all about situations which happen in day-to-day life, in corporate life. It could be projects, it could be co-workers, it could be the boss, it could be what people tell you as feedback on your work, on how you handle things. It could be about any of these things. How do you handle these things? This becomes important because most of the time when these things happen, it becomes very stressful, at least during that point of time that you are going through it. And it is important for people and interviewers and the organizations to understand how are you able to handle that kind of a stress? How are you able to handle that kind of a situation? Are you a person who has thought through? Are you a person who has walked and got experience in solving these day-to-day problems in corporate life? And are you a person who has learned from these lessons? That's what they want to look at. And therefore, it makes sense for you to collate a list of possible questions and think through them. 3, identify what are the key competencies that the organization is looking for. A lot of times, the job description, which is advertised for which you are applying, contains clues about what they are looking for. Many times it is explicitly put, sometimes it is hinted at, but you can figure out as to what they are looking for. Typically, these are about your ability to communicate, ability to collaborate and work with team members, ability to handle conflict, ability to resolve people's issues, ability to lead a team, ability to stand by key values professed by the company in spite of whatever challenges that may throw you out. This is the thing that people typically look for, and it might be a good idea to look for what the organization that you're applying might be thinking about and prepare the STAR method that we talked about, the challenges that we talked about, the behavioral questions that we talked about. Some of those questions, think through the prism of these competencies and be ready with. While you might have practiced, while you might have prepared very well, there could and there would always be questions which are looking like bouncers and googlies. It's absolutely fine. And it's also fine to take a minute. You can tell the interviewer that, can I take a minute? Let me think about the situation that I have come across. It's absolutely okay to sip the water over there and reflect and talk about it. Nobody is expecting you to answer cut. That's not expecting. They want to understand you as a person. They want to imagine how would it be like to have you as the person who's going to work with them. That's what they're looking at. The idea is not to get a robo kind of answer without even pausing. That's not required. So take your time, compose the answer mentally, reflect on your experience, reflect on your career, reflect on what skills you used, reflect on what kind of talent you brought to play, reflect on how did you go about solving those problems that you solved in your career, and bring and talk about all of that in a relaxed fashion. And that would also reassure people who are interviewing you, saying that, yes, you're genuinely talking about your experience and you're not making up things. The other couple of things that I would like to talk about are in the same vein. One, stay calm and composed. Sometimes people ask you questions which are specifically prepared to put you under stress. Sometimes they may want to see, if they were to ask you stressful questions, how do you handle that? In many interviews, they may not happen. In many interviews, normal interview itself is stressful. In many interviews, just these behavioral questions themselves are very stressful. But sometimes the questions may seem like unnecessarily putting you under duress. So they may ask, saying that, okay, you said that you did the project like that and it still did not go well. So the manager was tempted to dismiss you. There could be questions like that. The questions can be thrown at you a little offhand, and therefore it may look like what is happening? Why are they doing this to me? Kind of a thought process may run in your mind. But don't worry, stay calm, stay focused, stay positive, and ensure that you answer these things with a smile. Remember that nobody is perfect. All of the people, even the most successful people, have made mistakes. Even the most successful people have failed. And only because of those failures are they becoming successful, did they become successful later on. So failing is not a problem. Making mistakes is not a problem. As long as you can demonstrate that these are the learnings, these are the lessons that you have learned from those failures, those mistakes. So stay positive, stay calm, stay relaxed, answer with a smile. Talk about, even if it is a very negative question they ask about, tell me about the project, a big one that you completely failed. Great, you can talk about it, no problem. But talk about it from a perspective of what went wrong, how you could have done better, and what were the learnings, and how would you do it if you were to do it today. That is all that matters. Stay positive and answer them with a smile on your face and with a reflection on your experience. Draw upon all that you have done and answer them to nail them. Now, let me summarize what I have talked about in this session. One, understand the STAR method. It's easy to think about it: situation, task, action that you took, and the results that you have got. or the organization got. This structure helps you to talk about any situation in a very logical fashion. Think about what kind of behavioral questions could be there and prepare a list. Look at what kind of competencies they are asking for and look at the questions that can come at your way from that prism. Prepare in terms of what questions are going to be there and therefore what your answers. Draw and prepare those answers from your life, what you have done in the corporate, your experience. Don't try to fib but create some situation which have not happened. You won't be able to talk through it. Look at what competency you need to highlight and relate back the stories to the skill that you want to actually talk about, which is in demand basis the job description that they have asked for. In all of this, for you to talk very well during the interview, you need a lot of practice. Preparation is one part. Practicing out loud with somebody, some friend and mentor is another part. Practice and be ready. In the interview, ensure that you stay positive, you stay relaxed, you stay calm, irrespective of what they may ask. They may also ask something that you have not even prepared for, which is absolutely okay. But try to relate back to your experience, try to draw from that experience and talk about what you have done, what your lessons are. Even if there are negative questions, stay positive, stay focused, and talk about even the project went negative, even if something bad had happened in the company to you or the company because of what you did. What are the lessons that you learned and why those lessons are going to be important for you and what will you do if you were to do the project all over again now? That would help you in terms of focusing on the positive side of the whole negative experience, even if there was a negative question on that. I'm sure you liked this episode and please like it, please subscribe. We will see you in the next episode.